TikTok can be an incredible marketing tool, whether you have a small business, you provide a service, or you make music. The issue is that some people don't know how to do it without pissing off the internet in the process.
That's it. That's my intro.
Hey, I'm Amanda, you're watching Swell Entertainment, and I have been planning on doing a video on marketing on TikTok for a while now. I also wasn't sure if I wanted to do a video on the balloon wars because it's been a little bit of time now, but then I remembered that most of you guys, my viewers, only get your TikTok content from me. So it doesn't matter the time has passed. For you guys, it's new info. Get comfy. This might be a long one. I don't know. I just talk and hopefully edit it down into something coherent. The thing about TikTok compared to all other social media platforms is that when you make a video, it absolutely has the potential to be blasted out to every single user on TikTok. That is not the case with most social media these days, and that could easily change in the future. The TikTok algorithm is still developing, just like the YouTube algorithm, it's ever changing, so that could easily change. I would say TikTok is a great example of why engagement doesn't always equal growth on social media. For example, you'll find some TikTok users who have some videos that have 35K views, but then they only have 400 followers. And that's because, again, every TikTok you make has the potential to get blasted out to everyone, but the engagement is what fuels that particular TikTok. You can grow on TikTok by having a consistent good number of videos here and there, but then you also have people who are doing really well and then they see a very sharp dip for whatever reason, and that's why you see some people be like, I think I'm shadow banned. And we can go into that if you really want to sometime. We could also go into the creator fund, but that's a whole nother layer of hell that I'm just not well versed enough in to talk about in the context of this video. But really anybody has the ability to grow and get big on TikTok, which is why it's an incredible marketing opportunity for people who self-produce music, write books, make art, promote their business. TikTok gives you the ability to add music / use sounds on your videos, which is one of the ways that music does so well on TikTok and why you see a lot of streams coming from TikTok. Now, what that particular musician actually ends up getting paid from the streams on TikTok isn't great, but I'm not well versed enough in that topic to talk about it, and it's not prevalent to what we're talking about, if that makes sense. One example of TikTok helping someone's music go viral was a couple of months ago. I interviewed Mothika because her song Vices went viral on TikTok, and TikTok got her song onto the iTunes top charts as an unsigned artist. Another song by Avenue Beat, F2020, also got the viral treatment on TikTok and has now been used for multiple trends, particularly one about people sharing how shit their 2020s have been in quarantine. We can also talk about Corpse Husband with his song, E-Girls Are Ruining My Life, and how that got the viral treatment because everyone started simping over Corpse Husband. I'm not even kidding, my whole For You page for 3 days was just people losing their fucking minds over Corpse. Thought I left my Corpse Husband phase in high school, but I guess not. Some music has been incredibly promoted by TikTok. The thing is, though, is that because of that, some people think that they are now owed TikTok clout for their music, and they don't like when they don't get it. I'm not sure if I should post the clips that I'm talking about, because there are several examples, but I'd have to, one, go find them, and sometimes TikTok is a black hole. But also, I just don't think that's fair. But I've seen people, some with meager followings, some with much larger followings, and typically, from what I've seen, their TikTok is not centered around their music. They're not involving you in the process. They're not doing anything like that. They just kind of are like, oh, by the way, my song is out tomorrow. And then 2 days later, they come back and they say, hey guys, so I'm a little upset right now because I put out this song, and I was expecting all of my TikTok people to come and promote it and get this on the charts, and it's not. It's doing terrible. It's gotten like 40 streams. What's the deal, guys? Do you hate me now? First off, no one owes you engagement. Second off, I don't know what to tell you guys. In the words of Bo Burnham, lower your expectations. Just because one person blew up from doing one thing, and let's say, for example, with Mothika, she leaked her own masters. She put out a video, multiple videos of her listening to some of the masters for her album Blue Hour. From that, people fell in love with the song and started using that sound. So she was like, fuck, okay, I'll put out the song immediately before people get bored of it. Put out the song. There you go. Avenue Beat did the same thing where they just put a little snippet of their song F2020 out. It did really well with like a little music video that they had done. Another instance of this is Heartbreak Hotel from Abigail Barlow, where she just put out a little snippet of her just singing the song that she had just come up with, and people were like, hey, can we get the rest of this song? And then she dropped the song. This is absolutely an argument of just because it worked for these people does not mean it's going to work for you. But there is a trend here where people are testing the waters, seeing if people like the music, and then if they get the type of return that they are hoping for, even if it is a meager return in some instances. I saw some people only got like a couple, very few thousand views on their videos, and then they were like, okay, hey, I put out the song, and then it went viral because there was at least a little bit interest in it. I know this isn't going to seem like a case-by-case basis type of thing, but I really think it is, and just because people like you doesn't mean they're going to like everything that you put out, or if you are just making funny mirror videos on TikTok, it doesn't mean that people are suddenly going to like your song if you drop it just because you have clout on one element of your career. Does not mean that that's suddenly going to transfer over into another element of your career. I could drop a song tomorrow. I think only a few of you would give a shit if the song didn't suck. But where my issue with this comes in is rather than people being like, okay, this wasn't the one that blew up my channel or blew up my music career or blew up whatever. I like it. I have faith in this. I'm going to keep making music because this is what I love doing. Maybe the next one they'll like. They don't do that. Psst. Why don't you like my song? Do you hate me now? This is where the guilt tripping comes in. Like, don't you guys want me to do well? I thought you guys would want me to do well. Like, I don't, why? What are you doing? That makes people want to unfollow you, not promote your music. Now that leads into the next major issue I have with TikTok small businesses. Guilt audios. There's a very real chance I did that backwards. Now, just like you can add a song to your TikTok, you can use a sound. And this is very popular for a variety of reasons. Trends are trends on TikTok. You know what I mean. But this is also very popular for artists on TikTok, small business owners on TikTok. There was a time at the start of the pandemic where I decided that I was going to cover a bunch of small businesses on TikTok. I will try to find the sound.
I see a bunch of people posting rich kid check.
I think that's pretty lame. I want to see people starting a business.
So we could start the new trend as business check or hustle check.
A lot of those videos were just people sharing, here's what we do, here's how I started, here's what I'm doing. Those are great. I think that's wonderful. There are also a lot of sounds for people to show what's your most expensive item, what's your first item, what's the one that you sell the most of. There was also a lot of audios for packaging videos.
All right, business owners, show us where your packaging stuff is from. Let's help people out. Some people are starting off the way we were starting off at one point. So let's show them in the right direction. Show them where you get your packaging stuff from.
One of the most important things I ever learned from any of my art internships was if you sell products, to have really great packaging.
And so people using that audio to show how they package their orders from Etsy and things like that. Wonderful. Fine. And using sounds like that is a great way to grow on TikTok because there's nothing stopping your video really from ending up in that list of videos when you click that sound on TikTok. Great way to grow. Those audios are fine, but the guilt audios, I have an issue with those. Again, I'm not going to show the videos attached to these sounds, I think, because again, I don't think that that's fair. I have a bone to pick with audios that go, you're probably just going to scroll past this. I scroll right past that. I do. Doesn't matter what you're selling or what you're making or what you're doing. I don't like that. It bothers me. There's so many ways, especially on TikTok, to market your art. Guilting people into making them feel bad for you because of how much growth you've gotten up until this point is really not the way to do it. It kind of reminds me of when my friend would do, God, what was that fucking game? Hold on. 1 second. Hey, I think I remembered what the fuck I was calling you about, but I wanted to ask you. This is Jordan, by the way. Hi, I'm literally filming as I'm talking to you. But she says hi. When we were younger, there was a game online that you played, okay? And you played it whenever I would come over half the time. And half of the time you had money in the game, but you would go up to random other users and be like, spare coins or whatever. Was that fucking Maple Story? Go up to random users, hey, I need coins for a quest or some shit like that. Even though you had like 10 million or something. Anyway, when we were kids, Jordan played this game called Maple Story. Maybe you played it too. Jordan had a grift for fucking Maple Story where she would just go up to random users and be like, hi, I need spare coins or whatever the fuck the currency was in Maple Story. I never fucking played it for the quest or whatever the fuck she was doing, even though I could see she had 10,000 or whatever the fuck it was that she had at the time. That's what these sounds make me think of. I think you're bullshitting me, especially if you do have more than 1,000 followers on TikTok. If that video did get a good number of views, and also, especially if you're selling things on Etsy, it is very easy to check how many sales you have gotten, how many times you have sold something if you are selling the same item or looking at reviews. So half of the time, I find that it is a grift, and you are lying when you're using those sounds because you are getting those views. Sometimes you're not, but a good deal of the time you are. Using guilt like that is also not a good strategy long term, especially if you want repeat customers, because some people very well might give you a pity purchase and then never want to buy from you again, especially if your product is not up to snuff or you are just trying to get views to grow or whatever the fuck. But what you can do very easily on TikTok is show your process. Again, show your packaging. Moving on from guilt, we're going to talk about pricing, because that leads into our Balloon War saga. You can have whatever qualms with pricing that you want. Go right ahead. Most of the time, it doesn't mean that someone's going to change their prices. And if you go to someone's page, especially an independent business owner, and you're like, hey, can I get a quote for this? And then they give you the quote, and you're like, that is way too fucking high. You should do it for this. I think you're an asshole. People value money differently. Everyone's money situation is different. So what's too expensive for you, someone else can probably afford, or what you think is cheap for someone else probably can't afford. That's just how fucking money works. In my opinion, a proper way to respond to something being out of your price range that you've been quoted is simply, thank you for your time, that's out of my price range, have a good day. That's it. You don't have to be like, I can go here, they can do it for cheaper. Because 9 out of 10 times, if that person values themselves and their product, and they're confident in their pricing, they will not lower it to appease one customer. There are a lot of people who do severely undervalue what they are selling because they're just making a hobby and they're turning it into a business because of quarantine or for whatever reason. But there are a lot of people who do know their value. They know the cost of their materials, they know the cost of shipping, they know the cost of marketing themselves, they know the hours that it took to perfect whatever the fuck it is that they are selling, that process, they know what that costs. So they charge a certain amount that is above cost. One audio in particular that this plays into that I like a lot that's going around is someone who is reading off some comments they've gotten complaining about their pricing for, I believe, sweaters, but I'm not sure, where it's like, I saw this on this website. Okay, your pricing is way too high. That's fine. I can get the same thing for half off from this person. That's great. You should absolutely go do that. I think that's great. Stick to your guns. If you are confident in your pricing, stick to your guns. That person may not pay for that, but someone else might. Another element of people complaining about pricing was when the strawberry dress got very popular a couple weeks ago, months ago. Time is weird. There were a lot of people on TikTok ordering it directly from the shop and being so excited and showing off the dress once they got it. But there were also a lot of people making their own dupes. And some people were doing it because they liked the concept of the dress, but they wanted it in darker colors, or they wanted it with blueberries or lemons or other fruits on it. Most of these people that were doing that were not selling them. That's fine. I don't think there's much of an issue with doing recreations of things, but there becomes an issue when you then make a recreation and then try to sell it. That's where the efficacy issue comes in. I think a great way to generate interest in your product is to show your process, but that could go both ways, because then there have been issues where I have seen people have to make videos where it's like, guys, I didn't show you how to do this so you could make your own to sell. I showed you how to do this to make your own. In the vein of the strawberry dress, there were a lot of people who were buying dupes from AliExpress and promoting the dupes from AliExpress, which I get not liking the price of the strawberry dress, but I also understand the price of the strawberry dress because of the material, the time that goes into it, the conditions in which the employees work in. Just because you don't like the price of something doesn't mean it's not a justified price for that item. But I'm going to move forward now into the balloon wars, because this could have gone a completely different way. But instead, it became the internet slam dunking on this woman. I'm going to preface this section by saying do not send hate to this woman. Again, I am going to be sharing her username and showing these videos for this section because these videos are still up. She is still actively commenting on this situation. She is not just using her sound. I'm not picking a random name out of a hat and throwing them into the fire. No, this is her actively posting about this and talking about this. Therefore, I don't feel bad including it here. This is that balloon girl. She makes balloon mosaics both in letters, numbers, and arches for private events in, I believe, Texas. She's been very open about her pricing. I'm going to call her Balloon Girl because I'm not just going to keep saying that Balloon Girl the entire time. Balloon Girl posted a video of her making one of her letter mosaics. It was a 5-foot tall balloon mosaic. It was an H. She said, "I've been getting a lot of weird comments about my pricing and people saying that's not worth $300. I can make that in under 30 minutes with balloons from Party City." And in her video, Balloon Girl says,
and they think that they can replicate this with Party City balloons and do it in less than 30 minutes, duet me, because I'd love to see it.
She even captioned the video with, "Custom color 5-foot balloon mosaic, $300. If you can go to Party City and spend $5 on balloons and replicate this, please duet me. Thanks." What she doesn't specify there, and what most of the comments don't specify, is that it is $300 to rent. She does take the letter back. You can technically keep the balloons, so you're paying $300 to rent that. That is a good chunk of money. But obviously, this woman does in fact have a business doing this. She has shown at least multiple private events that she has been to at fairly nice looking residences. So there is some type of market for this in her area. Otherwise, she wouldn't have a business. But in this video, she's not saying that. She's not justifying her pricing. Another party planner in a different video explained that what she's not telling you is that she is double stuffing those balloons, which you can kind of see in the video itself. And that's why she's getting that custom color. She could say that takes time. She could explain how long that takes her to do. She could explain how that adds to her cost by having to double stuff the balloons like that. Balloon Girl was faced with an opportunity to explain her pricing and why her balloon mosaics are priced the way that they are for rent. She didn't do that. What she did is she challenged the internet. And the internet responded. So that particular video from Balloon Girl has 23.6 million views. And if you go to Balloon Challenge on TikTok, it does have 303 million views. And a majority of the top videos on the hashtag have to do with making balloon letter mosaics. The hashtag balloon mosaic has 10 million views, and there are dozens of videos of people making balloon mosaics. General consensus is that yes, you can in fact make a balloon mosaic in under 30 minutes with Party City balloons. I know what you're thinking. Amanda, did you take the challenge? No, I didn't want to. I had no desire to, because that's not the point of this video. But I knew that you all, my comment section, would not leave me alone if I didn't make something out of balloons. This is not 5 foot tall. When it's standing up, it comes to like about my hip. Because you see, the thing is I didn't want a letter, you know, like what am I, a suburban mom decorating my second grader's room? Like I don't want a letter in my room that's a balloon letter. I just don't want that. I don't want an S, I don't want an A, I don't want it. And I also don't want a number. And I know you're thinking, Amanda, you made an 8. No, I didn't. I made tits. So here are my tits. These are my balloon titties. I got the poster board from a Dollar Tree. I got all the balloons from Party City. And I bought a balloon pump as well. In total, it was still like $27. I spent less than $30 on this. Did I spend 30 minutes on it? No, I didn't want it to look like ass. It does still kind of look like ass, but I'm also not a balloon artist, nor do I claim to be. You know what they say, sisters, not twins. But yes, here are my balloon tits. I've been calling these tits the whole time. I could have been calling these balloon boobies. These are balloon boobies, and I have been calling them tits this whole time. But this comes back to my point that I kind of touched on and then went away from. Just because someone can do something themselves doesn't mean they want to or that they should. I know how to crochet and knit, so half of the sweaters and stuff that I see people making on TikTok, I could probably make that myself. But I don't want to, especially if I see them making it themselves and I know that that money is going to like a small business. I'd much rather do that than like fuck up making my own one and spend the money on materials. Same thing here. Did I really want to do this? No. Am I glad that I made balloon boobies? Yeah. Probably gonna mount this above my bed to like watch over me while I sleep. Guardian areolas, if you will. I think I'm funny and that's what's important. But the balloon saga continues still on TikTok because it's my understanding, I couldn't find any of these comments, I'll try and look more, but that Balloon Girl has now been commenting on these duets to complain about them or talk shit on the actual balloon mosaics that people are doing in the duet of the challenge that she posed with cheaper materials and less time. They're not gonna look the same, but a lot of them do look very good. Balloon Girl easily could have taken the time to explain why it costs that much. Oh, my materials are this, I get balloons from this place and I double stuff them, so that adds to my materials cost. Because I do this for private events to make sure it looks good for my customers, I make sure that I do the balloons that same day so they stay firm and full and look wonderful throughout your event so they don't look like shit. Balloon Girl could have done something like that. Like, look, you're paying for quality. You are paying for someone who has worked X amount of years to perfect this art and make them look like this. I do custom designs. You're paying for me sending you sketches and sending you color designs and sending you this. Like, there's so many things she could have said, and instead she challenged the internet, and now she posts things on her Instagram story like, this is the balloon video that's getting everyone so mad. And it's like, you challenged the internet. What else were they gonna do? You don't get to then be surprised that people responded to your challenge, especially when the challenge is still posed. It's still there. You can go make balloon letters all you want. I 100% believe that I had way more fun making these than I ever would have making a balloon letter. Could I have made them look better? Absolutely. But you know, all boobs are good boobs. That's really gonna be it. But my point with this whole video is that shaming people, guilting people, trying to make people feel bad for not supporting your small business, your music, whatever endeavor you are embarking on, and using TikTok to market is just a really bad strategy. And challenging the internet is always dumb. There was never gonna be an opportunity where you couldn't be slam dunked on, especially for something like balloon art. And again, there have been a lot of people who have come to that balloon girl's defense, especially other balloon artists. They're really just doing for her what she could have easily done herself, which is just explain why her balloon mosaics are priced the way that they are. She didn't do that. She didn't ignore it. She challenged the internet and kind of had a bad attitude doing it, which is also probably why a lot of people are doing it. A lot of people are like, I just don't like her attitude. But that's going to be it. I know most of you get your TikTok content from me, but are there any small businesses that you have purchased from because of TikToks? Are there any music that you've looked into or discovered because of TikTok? Have you made a balloon mosaic of your own? Will you be making your own balloon boobies because of this video? Let me know. Comment down below. Shout out to my patrons. Thank you so much for supporting me on my Patreon. If you'd also like to support me on my Patreon, that'll be linked down below. If you'd like to follow me on all my social media, that'll be all up here. And that's going to be it. Have a lovely day. Goodbye. There's going to be a very real chance that I'm going to regret having these behind me for the last portion of this video, because like, what if YouTube demonetizes this video because of these things? Thank you, Elaine, Alan, Elise, Braden, Cameron, Christopher, Chris, Cody, Colton, Crash PC, David, Devin, Dirty One, Dawn, Elliot, Aaron, Essen, Evan, Feckless, Finnegan, Hopeless, Jason, Joe, John, M, Jordan, Joseph, Kevin, Kim, Kristen, Lex, Lisa, Manga, Matt, Matthew S, Meme Lord, Michael, Michael J, Nathaniel, Pat, Pralak, Rob, Robert, Ross, Sam, Simon, Stephen, Tasha, Timothy, Tom, Wayne, Wendy, Williams, Zendrick.